Breaking news, Eagles Nation. The atmosphere is heating up behind the scenes of the Philadelphia Eagles, and over the past few hours, some major updates have come to light that I need to share with you. One thing is crystal clear. This team is locked in on chasing another Super Bowl, but there are still a few issues that must be addressed to make that journey unstoppable. Before I break it all down, I need you to show the power of our fan base. Smash that like button right now. But only if you believe the Eagles are ready to turn this season into something legendary. Let me tell you straight, I believe it with everything I've got. And if you do too, drop it in the comments. Go Birds, Super Bowl bound. Now lock in, because what I'm about to tell you will shake things up. Let's get into it. The stage is set and the anticipation could not be higher. Thursday night, Lincoln Financial Field, primetime lights. The defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles, open their 2025 season against the Dallas Cowboys. This isn't just another season opener, it's a rivalry clash, a banner-raising celebration, and the beginning of a campaign where the Eagles look to defend their crown. The link will be packed with 70,000 fans watching as the 2017 and 2024 championship banners fly, but Cam Jurgens said it best when asked about the ceremony. Who gives a damn if we're hanging something or whatever? We're playing the Cowboys. What other motivation do we need? That right there captures the mindset of this locker room. The players know the glory of last season means nothing once the ball is kicked off Thursday at 8:20 p.m. Now, the Cowboys roll into South Philadelphia looking very different than what we've been used to. The biggest headline? Micah Parsons is gone. Dallas traded him to the Green Bay Packers in a blockbuster deal, netting 2 first-round picks and veteran defensive tackle Kenny Clark. Parsons immediately became the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history, but he's also dealing with a back issue that could linger into the season. For the Eagles, Jordan Mailata admitted what everyone else is thinking, a sigh of relief. For years, Philadelphia had to design its offensive game plans around slowing down Parsons. That's no longer the case, but Mailata reminded everyone that Dallas still has talent up front and that Kenny Clark is no slouch. As he put it in his Australian tone, Clark is a great bloody player. Dallas also enters this season with a new coaching staff. Mike McCarthy is gone. In comes Brian Schottenheimer as head coach, who will also call plays.
On defense, Matt Eberflus is now the coordinator, adding his own schemes. Offensively, the Cowboys have a legit 1-2 punch at receiver in C.D. Lamb and George Pickens. Lamb is elite, no question, and Pickens adds length, speed, and physicality. That duo will test the Eagles' secondary, particularly at cornerback too. All signs point to Adoree Jackson lining up opposite rookie sensation Quinyon Mitchell, but Jackson's play has been inconsistent across his career. Vic Fangio hasn't tipped his hand, but the expectation is that Jackson gets the nod. Still, we could see Khalil Ringo or Jaquan Bennett rotate in when Dallas spreads the field. The Cowboys' run game is where the real issues lie. Jaden Blue, their rookie with blazing speed, is banged up after a preseason injury. Javonte Williams struggled badly last year in Denver, and Miles Sanders, a familiar face to Eagles fans, is now in that rotation. Add in a shaky offensive line, and it's a far cry from the dominant trenches Dallas once relied on during their championship years. Connor Beebe at center and Tyler Guyton at tackle are still learning, while right tackle Terrence Steele remains a major question mark. For Philadelphia's defensive front, that's an opportunity. Jalen Carter was an All-Pro in just his second year and looks poised for an even bigger season. Jordan Davis found his rhythm last year and could dominate in 2025. Young pass rushers Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt are being asked to step into starring roles, and Fangio has hinted at using rookie linebacker Jihad Campbell as a blitzer to keep the heat on Dak Prescott. Speaking of Dak, he is no longer the mobile threat he once was. Coming off injuries, he's more of a pocket statue now, and pressure has consistently forced him into turnovers. He threw 8 interceptions in just 8 games last season, and when rattled, he has a history of putting the ball in harm's way. That's where this game could be decided. If the Eagles' defensive front dictates the pace and gets Dak off his spot, turnovers will follow. And as Nick Sirianni always preaches, win the turnover battle and you win football games. Now, when we turn the focus back to the Eagles' offense, the biggest storyline is continuity. 10 of 11 starters from last year's Super Bowl winning unit are back. The only change is Tyler Steen stepping in at right guard for Mekhi Becton, who departed for the Chargers. Kevin Patullo now takes over as offensive play caller after years of working behind the scenes with Sirianni. He's never called plays in a regular season game, so Thursday will be a major test. But he has weapons everywhere. Saquon Barkley, the reigning offensive player of the year, is back after leading the NFL in touches last season. He has looked sharp all training camp, but the question is how long can he hold up after such a heavy workload? Jalen Hurts continues to evolve as a passer, and with A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Jahan Dotson, and Darius Cooper, this is a receiving core that can overwhelm defenses. And against the Cowboys secondary riddled with injuries, Trayvon Diggs coming off knee surgery, Darren Bland slowed by a foot injury, and Kaiir Elam still unproven, the Eagles' wideouts have a golden opportunity to dominate. Special teams could also tip the scales. For Dallas, Brandon Aubrey is the league's best kicker, and Kevontae Turpin is electric as a returner. The Eagles, on the other hand, are still unsettled. Britton Covey was back fielding punts at practice, with emergency reps for Brown, Smith, and Dotson, but that's not the ideal scenario. Jake Elliott had his struggles last season, and there's even a new long snapper in the mix. If this game comes down to the kicking game, Dallas may have the edge. So the picture is clear heading into Thursday. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites, and for good reason. They have the depth, the experience, and the home crowd at their back. But this is Eagles-Cowboys, and nothing ever comes easy. The defending champions know that every opponent will be coming after them harder than ever. The banners will be raised, the crowd will be loud, but when the ball is kicked, it's all about execution. And as we push deeper into this matchup, let's look at the blueprint for how the Eagles can start their title defense 1-0. It all begins with the ground game. Dallas had one of the worst rushing defenses in football last year, ranking near the bottom in almost every category, 137 rushing yards allowed per game, nearly 5 yards per carry, and 25 rushing touchdowns surrendered, which was dead last in the league. Even with Kenny Clark arriving from Green Bay, that doesn't erase the structural issues this defense has stopping the run. For Philadelphia, this is tailor-made. Saquon Barkley behind the best offensive line in the NFL should be able to dictate the flow. If Barkley and Jalen Hurts establish that rhythm early, it forces Dallas to overcommit, opening up deep shots to A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. And speaking of the air attack, this might be where the Eagles can completely break the Cowboys. Dallas corners are banged up. Trayvon Diggs, even if he plays, is coming off major knee surgery. Darren Bland has dealt with a foot fracture. Kaiir Elam has never proven he can handle elite NFL receivers. That's bad news when you're about to face a quartet of Brown, Smith, Dotson, and the emerging Darius Cooper. Kevin Patullo's debut as a play caller should lean on balance, but don't be surprised if he tests this secondary early and often, especially with Dallas still adjusting to Eberflus' new defensive system. Defensively, Fangio's unit has its own questions. Philadelphia lost more than 4,000 defensive snaps from last year's roster, including free agent departures like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. But the foundation remains strong. Jalen Carter looks like he could go down as one of the greats in franchise history if he continues his trajectory. Jordan Davis has matured into a force in the middle, and the edge duo of Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt represents the new era of Eagles pass rushers. The unknown is whether they can sustain production now that they're the